But again, and this is now coming out, 3 years later, but it's only being made public 3 years later. Her story was told a long time ago. I guess the question that remains here is the lack of judgment by Al Gore, because if we're going to use the standard that, beyond a reasonable doubt for the vice president, if there's nobody else in that room and she's not claiming rape, she's only claiming assault, how do you prove that? Pam?
Well, and now if she does go forward in a civil suit, we all know that's a much lesser standard. And that's it. And, that gives her more credibility by the fact she's not saying, I was raped. And she's saying it was a traumatic event. She waited 26 days that we know of to report it to an official. However, she said she went to a therapist. She was traumatized by it. This is the former vice president versus a massage therapist. She didn't think anyone would believe her. So that does give her more credibility.
Makes sense. But again, if it becomes a court case, how, as a defense attorney, I would imagine you would think this would be pretty easy to defend.
Well, first of all, she went 26 days later to the police officials and then declined interviews 3 separate times. So that was in 2006. She was only interviewed in 2009. That's 3 years later. She now has the story. Apparently, there are allegations that she heard about the split between Tipper and Al Gore and decided to capitalize on it and ask the National Enquirer.
That's a judgment capitalize. Is it capitalize on it? She's saying, you know what, that she couldn't, in good conscience, allow this guy to be out there because she thinks he's probably doing it again. Do you not see any possibility of altruism here?
Well, there's a possibility, except that the National Enquirer is saying she wanted $1 million for her story. I call that capitalization. I say $1 million to talk. No, how about talking to the police right after it happened if you're so concerned about justice?
Well, I guess maybe that's easy to say, too. But, Pam, in fairness to anybody that's a victim of assault, and if you're talking about a former vice president who you would, I would imagine you would think is powerful, it may not be so easy to do for a woman, right?
No, and Sean, in my experience, my many years of prosecuting, I don't want this to ever deter a victim of any kind of crime, because often there is delayed reporting because of being traumatized. And these women often don't come forward until they speak with a therapist or someone else, especially given his elevated level in her mind and that she was simply a massage therapist. Now, it will be a very difficult case, very difficult to prove in a criminal arena unless they have more evidence.
There's one thing we can all agree on, is that Al Gore is guilty of something, and that's stupidity. And the stupidity is, as a public figure and the former vice president, to be alone at midnight in a hotel room with a woman by yourself, nobody else there. How ridiculous. How dumb is that?
That's right. It's not bright. It's not prudent. That's right. That's a good word. It's just not prudent. You wouldn't go into a hotel room with a woman of any nature that could possibly, she's touching you. It doesn't make sense. He should have just thought about this.
How stupid is Al Gore? I mean, can you get any dumber than that, having a masseuse at 11, 12 midnight in your hotel room alone? I mean, I don't know whether to believe this woman. You can't get that dumb, right?
Not much.
It's pretty...
And he is denying it.
What's that?
He is denying it.
He's not, wait a minute. He's not denying that he had the massage at 11 o'clock at night.
He's not
the question is, how stupid was it to have a woman in your room alone? You're a former vice president.
A public figure. You don't have the kinds of luxuries.
Stupid. Right? Because you put yourself as a public figure in a position.
Not defending the former vice president, but it has been 4 years, right? I mean, I'm just wondering what happened to bring these charges back to the forefront. Well, I'm not defending anything that happened.
Granted, but she did make them, days after. Granted, not the day after, but days after.
It was thrown out, right? There wasn't enough evidence.
No, she didn't want to go forward with it. She didn't want to, quote, be appearing as a gold digger. Those were her words.
Well,
and she liked him politically. There was that as well.
I don't know if she liked her. A friend of hers said, you're going to harm global warming.
Yeah, she said she voted for him, and she felt bad. I also think the timing of the marriage dissolving was interesting. Maybe she thought, okay, now I can do this because I'm not going to ruin a family by coming out when she saw that it was over.
She's got a different point of view, and she's saying, you know what, maybe if he did this to me, he's doing it to other women. It would
maybe she's gold digging now.
Yeah, well, we don't know.
We don't know.
Here's the bottom line on all these things. Nobody goes undefeated.
Meaning?
Meaning, most people are going to, if they're doing something, they're going to get caught.
We all sin and fall short of the glory of God. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying, I'm not going to say it's going to happen to you.
Except for you, Sean,
If you really want to help global warming.